Hello, welcome back to Retro Cheese Review, where we review cheesy movies from our childhood. With me today is my friend Engad. Engad, if you want to introduce yourself and mention your channel.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Angad. Just Google tech goggles. That's it.
Perfect. Yeah, he's got a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of great
Yeah.
content.
So I'm going to different podcasts, and on every podcast, I'll just one of my channels, just push one of them.
Just plug one of them. And
my, my
we know
brother's
each
like,
other
how
from a
many?
D&D. Yeah, we know each other from a D&D podcast that I don't even know if Larry's even finished. If
Yeah,
he's put any of them out.
yeah. I don't think so. And I'm like, even if he doesn't, I'm like chill with it because that was like my Sunday break thing. Like you work all hard, and then the D&D is my unwind session.
I was honestly just happy to start playing Dungeons and Dragons again because
Yeah.
I hadn't played in so long.
Yeah, and it was my first time, so it felt really good role playing because I hadn't done it. Like I used to make short films and stuff. So when writing something, I would role play as a character, like just to, write something like what would this character do? What are his motivation? Why would he do that? But then like I got into gaming, and gaming is mostly like improv and stuff, and it felt nice to role play again.
No, definitely, and honestly,
Yeah.
you're a natural at it. Kind of diving into the reason we're here. So this is not a movie from my childhood, and it's actually a little newer than most movies we review on this. But it was kind of a perfect suggestion when you suggested
Yeah.
it. It's from 2004. I'm probably gonna butcher for now. Maine or my
Meh.
Hoon na ma oh man.
So
You
do
can
not
pronounce.
pronounce the N. Do not pronounce
No,
the N.
so
Meh.
Mahuna.
Yes, Mehuna.
Okay, perfect. So movie from 2004, Bollywood film. Um, Diving in like just your nostalgia review of when you first watched this, as well as
Yeah.
like why you chose this movie for us to review.
So like when I first saw this in 2004, and here's the thing, until you said 2004, I thought it was 2008. It came out in 2008. And for me, 2008 feels like 5 years ago.
I get that.
Like it doesn't feel like more than 10, like, and it's like more than that, and it's this movie is like 20 years old.
Yeah, it is a 20. Like I often feel very old because I'm like, oh, this channel we shouldn't review anything made after 2000. That's not nostalgia, but it's like 2004 was 20 years ago. You're
Yeah.
getting old.
Yeah. Yeah. So like what when this movie came out, this was the coolest Bollywood movie I'd ever seen. Like it, and it was very new because it, like, the action stuff, the comedy they did, like the type of comedy they did was very Looney Tune inspired. Like, uh this one Hindi teacher in the school that would butcher her English every time. And then the random guy would show out of nowhere and translate. Like, oh, a Mako man. What? It's like, oh, she means macho man. Yeah, and she would like call convocation congratulation, and then the random guy would show up. Yeah, oh, she means convoc. Oh, okay, thanks. And then the guy would just run away. And this was not like Bollywood did not have that. The pacing of the movie, Bollywood movies were a little slower than this, and Bollywood movies were more emotional than this. And this was like the first one that had like a college generation being kids, and that I could relate to. Like before that, the college kids they show, I could never relate to that. Like
No, definitely. Yeah, and with that, like when you first watched it, what would you give it on like a 1 out of 5? Like, what was your
five,
scale of
five,
it? You
five.
gave it
I
a
watched
five,
it
like a
twice.
great movie.
Yeah, yeah. I think I watched it twice.
Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing is, like looking at this, I was thinking you were gonna come to me with like just this like a horrible, like over the top cheesy movie. It's got
Yeah,
an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. No critic score. It wasn't reviewed at least in any of the
yeah,
critics that were,
yeah,
but 81% audience score, which I've got to say is pretty fair. I
yeah.
expected like because a lot of my friends that I like, they're just like, let's just make Trevor suffer and get the worst movie that we can find.
Yeah.
And you actually, I'll admit I was pleasantly surprised watching this movie. Other than the
Yeah.
fact that it was almost 3 hours, which
Yeah.
I
Back in the day,
have,
everything was
yeah.
3 hours. Like back then, yeah.
It's become kind of, it's funny because like you watch a lot of movies from like the 80s and 90s, and it's like 90 minutes, and that's like the limit. If you go over 90 minutes, at least like in American movies, it's too damn long. And then
Oh,
Titanic came out, and then Lord of the Rings came out, and then everyone's like, got to do those 3 hours movies. Like, if they don't have to get up and piss halfway through in the movie theater, it's not long enough. They're not getting their money worth.
and here's the thing, like I don't know if you guys have intermission or intervals during movies
We
in the
don't. We
US.
should, but we don't.
So in India, movies are designed that way. So there's like a first half and then the second movie starts. So
It
uh,
felt like that. Like I
yeah,
was
you
actually
know,
gonna mention that. Like as some like again, I was a theater major, and it felt like there was like the build up to the intermission. Like it felt like a natural, like almost
yeah,
like a musical where you could tell there was like that build up, and then the second half act two.
yeah. So like the movie starts with the old Bollywood physiology, like the style of making movies was you introduce the A story, and then you go on with the B story, and the B story is complete comedy. There's like nothing serious about it, and then like midpoint hits, and then you start introducing start continuing the A story, and the A story is completely serious, like no jokes about it. So
It's funny. I was gonna mention that like it felt for a while like it was two different movies going on, and very different movies, but like thinking about probably because it's two different styles. It's very much an action movie and
yeah,
a comedy musical going on at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
it's funny because a lot of like sitcoms and cartoons in America do the A and B story. Like
yeah, yeah.
Simpsons kind of was the one that really started
Mm,
with that, but a lot of them like
yeah,
Family Guy and stuff, they always have like
yeah,
two stories running simultaneously.
yeah. I would say like this would like if you are a fan of The Simpsons, this would kind of feel like at home.
No, definitely. And it felt the same where it tried to keep you interested. The only difference is like, and I know this is gonna sound weird, I felt like watching it like I'm like Indian movies are like Indian food. It's like everything. It's like, and
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing because I love Indian food because there's so much flavor. Like the
yeah,
movie felt like there was just there it
yeah,
was every genre of movie going on at the
yeah,
same time. It
yeah,
was like, is
and
this an action movie? Is this a comedy? Is this a drama? Is it?
it's a
And it's
love
like,
story.
yes.
Yeah.
It just
So
checks all those boxes.
yeah, so like the love story angle has to be like until and unless like less than like 10 years ago,
Mhm.
every Bollywood movie had to have a love story, at least one love story going on. And the main actor of the movie, the guy who plays the soldier, his real name is Shah Rukh Khan. So he's our biggest romantic hero. So he's, uh, who's your biggest romantic hero, like that does romance films? You would say like
Uh,
Ryan Gosling,
yeah, right.
Matthew
That's who I was
McConaughey,
thinking. I don't watch those type of movies a lot, but I would say
early,
maybe like
early, early
the
Matthew
old,
McConaughey.
the oddly enough, the old days it would have probably been like Tom Hanks or someone like that.
Yes. So combine Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise. So this is Shah Rukh Khan. So
No,
he
it makes
is,
sense. Like action star romantic comedy.
yeah, and he's like famous for doing romantic stuff.
Mhm.
Like, like, and then he does like because and back then this role like suited him. He had the build for it. He had the like he had done action stuff before. He could do romance. He could do comedy. Now it feels awkward, like like how Tom Cruise kind of feels awkward because he is like paired up with a woman which is like half her age.
And he's 4 foot tall, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think Shah Rukh Khan is the same height as
Oh,
Tom Cruise.
I was exaggerating. I think he's like five. I think they say he's
Five
like
four,
5'6" or five
five five
four.
four,
Yeah,
5'6". Yeah, Shah Rukh Khan's that height as well. I
he
think
looked
I
like a
am.
shorter kind of built guy though.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
had like you could tell he was a built guy. It wasn't one of those things of like this guy's not an action star. Like no, the guy
Yeah. So
had
like
muscle.
in 2004, it being muscular or having abs wasn't cool. So if you like the next movie I'm gonna recommend you of Shah Rukh Khan, like it was around 4 or 5, 6 years later when like six pack abs became cool in India, and everyone was doing it then.
It was kind of the same in the U.S. though. Like the
Yeah,
six pack
I
abs, like that became big with like Marvel and stuff. Like if you
could be.
watch like the old Christopher Reeves
Oh yeah,
Superman,
yeah,
like they
yeah.
were like they'd be like, oh,
Bulk.
that's not believable. They're small.
Yeah, yeah. They would bulk up. They would bulk up. They would go like the Arnold route of like the bigger is better stuff. Now it's
Yeah,
like the leaner is better stuff.
him and Dolph Lundgren were like the first ones in America to really be doing that, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then Dolph Lundgren, who just is genetically like a freak in the fact that
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
he has to work out. I think he's just ripped and a genius.
Like this reminds me, like you said his name. He's the villain in Rocky, right? Rocky
Yeah,
4.
yeah, Rocky Four.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
I
he's
I
literally
remember
a
like
genius. The dude is
how Russians start cheering Rocky in the end of the movie. Like,
just like yeah, Rocky World Peace. I'll have to review that movie also.
oh
Um,
yeah,
but no,
that's
like
my family's favorite movie series.
oh
Rocky.
Rocky.
Yeah,
Well, we'll have to review one. I promised my friend Rob that I'd do one of those with him because it's probably his favorite movie series also. But there's like so many of them that it wouldn't be hard to review more than
yeah.
one.
And like watching this, uh, 2004 till 2000 and I would say 11, 12 was
Mhm,
the glorious part of our culture. So we were pushing peace. So like like the whole entire story of the movie is that movie is pro peace. So like how how the Middle East has been at war since forever.
forever.
So India and Pakistan were created in 1947 and they have been
Mhm,
at war ever since. And it was during that time that finally the politicians of India and Pakistan were realizing that we are spending we were like we these two countries were the second and third highest spender on military
mhm.
back then, and they're realizing we are wasting a lot of money and we're not a rich country, like, right? And so this was around the time where India and Pakistan were becoming friends, and we were like really proud to be diverse, like of having a lot of cultures and religions in the country. So like this movie would not be made right now because we're back to Pakistan's the villain and the Pakistanis are like Indians done the villains, and diversity is ruining our country and we just need to be one type of people and the other need to leave and stuff like that. So it's a unique point in history, this movie that represents. And uh like the movie is saying, hey, there are friends, and that's what happens in the end. Like Indians and Pakistan become friends in the end.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. Like, I felt like it was kind of a brave take on it. Like, obviously, I don't know the history the way that you do, but like,
Yeah,
I know the general like history. Like I knew that it was after getting independence from England that the split happened
yeah, yeah,
due to differences with Islamic and Hindi. Who
yeah,
wanted to rule the country, but like it seemed like a pretty bold take on it. Of even though it's made with Hindi, almost like not painting Pakistan as the bad guys, but painting like
yeah,
even like the villain is like
yeah,
someone who just can't accept that like they're like the villain is a guy who just can't accept that you guys aren't at war anymore and just wants to like kill
yeah,
innocent people to try to get the war to keep going. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he felt like
So
a diehard villain. He felt like they tried to make like a Hindi Hans Gruber.
yeah. So like as you watch older Hindi movies, you will like the older you go, like the further back you go, the more you'll realize, wait, haven't I seen this movie and then you like search the plot, and then you get recommended an old Hollywood movie. So even like this was inspired by Hollywood so much. Like the action movies music is it's very similar to Mission Impossible music.
They sampled a lot of Mission Impossible. I kept
Yeah.
hearing it every time that like the main character was doing any sort of like any stuff jumping around with his guns. Like he was moving like it
Da,
was the
da,
Matrix, but
da,
they
da,
kept
da.
playing the yeah. And then it's funny because I also kept hearing the and we haven't even gotten into the plot, but like the dean of the college, who's just completely there to be a bumbling idiot.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
not a bad guy. He seems like a nice guy, just an idiot.
yeah, yeah.
They play like the Austin Powers theme, which doesn't even make sense. And he speaks mostly English, which is funny because it was like I was watching it like not dubbed
Yeah.
but subbed, and they kept like breaking into like bad English a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the joke. That's the joke. Like the bad English is the part of the joke. So that the
Hmm.
English is bad and their teachers and uh so like and then there's like so there's English, there's Hindi, and then there's Hinglish, which is Hindi mixed with a lot of English.
It's funny because it felt like almost watching like a lot of Hispanic influenced films. They do like the Spanglish, where it's
Spanglish.
like
Yeah.
and it felt very similar to that, where it's like the
Yeah.
half,
Yeah.
the Hindi with a little bit of like English mixed in.
Yeah. So like off the bat, like what's your favorite scene in the movie? Like what's your
Oh, jeez. Uh, so I'm skipping ahead. If the end, it looked like the Grease scene, like the carnival scene, and I even said if they would have flown away in a car, I would have lost my fucking mind, and it would have been my favorite scene in the movie. It's not though. I think my
they, would-
favorite.
they would have done in the rickshaw.
You've seen Grease, right? They're like just
I think
flying
so.
away, waving in the movie. Like
I
it's
think
this,
so. It's been a while.
yeah, like the movie version of it, they literally for some reason just fly away in a car, and it makes no sense, and they're just waving all happy. And I thought that was gonna happen. I really, really was hoping it was gonna happen because it looked almost shot for shot. But um, honestly, still, I gotta say that the ending was my favorite, and it's weird the reason why it's my favorite. Like I know a lot of people who like work on movies, the production side and stuff, and
Yeah.
America's not very good at recognizing the non-actors that put in the work. And I don't know if this
Hmm.
is a normal thing in Bollywood
Okay.
movies,
That thing.
but
No, 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 it's not.
introducing the entire cast, the entire crew with the
Yeah.
cast,
No,
all of
that
them like in front of the camera, I love
yeah.
that.
This was I like I'm not sure, but this because you when the credits start rolling, you get up and leave.
Mhm.
I like to my memory because I was 14-year-old back then. This was the first time that I ever saw it. I'm sure
Yeah,
they must have
I've
done it.
not seen it. I was actually wondering if they did that because I love that because I feel like in most American movies, if the unions didn't make them, they wouldn't even list off the non-actors
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're big on when they outsource a lot of production stuff and to non-union people, they'll just be like, and
Yeah.
thanks to this studio, and not list
Yeah.
any of the people who
No,
actually
no.
worked on it.
No, no, because I have worked on stuff and only the studio has gotten credit and like the topmost three people in the studio.
Mhm.
Like I've
Like
worked on Hollywood stuff, yeah.
the fact that they showed everybody off, they had every single
Yeah.
like even like, and it wasn't surprising because they got to like the choreography department and there's like 20 people standing there.
So like the director of the movie was I think it's her first movie. And she used to be a dance choreographer before making this movie. So she had a lot of connections with Bollywood, and this was her first movie, and the main actor's wife was the main producer of the movie. So she had a lot of friends, and she pulled a lot of connections, and she bet all on herself big with this because if it flopped, like that would have been end to her like a career as a director.
No, that makes sense, honestly. But no, like she did a great job, honestly. Like this is a person,
Yeah.
at least for me, I've not seen him like Bollywood movies before, other than little clips, and it
Yeah.
somehow was cheesy, but I still enjoyed it.
You know how like what you call like a gateway drug, like this drug gets you started on other drugs, and then so
Yeah.
like that's why I recommended this one, because it's cheesy to the end. Like if you think of a cheesy movie, it checks marks all the boxes of being a
Mhm.
cheesy movie, right? But it's also a good movie. It's not a bad movie that ends up being good because it's that bad. It's a good movie to get started in Bollywood, and then you can like start exploring Bollywood stuff,
Yeah.
because this
And
is like a
it's
good
funny.
gateway into Bollywood movie.
It uses so many tropes from Hollywood movies that it
Yeah.
almost like stops being a trope because it uses all of them. Like it's
Yeah.
weird saying that. One thing I was gonna ask you with it, and I'll do like a very quick run through of the plot, like because I
Yeah.
don't want to take up like because it's a long bit of
Yeah.
convoluted plot, but the
Yeah.
college felt more like a high school to me.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
how colleges are in India?
Like, so you know how you have private schools where everybody wears the same uniform?
Hmm.
That's our school, and our schools are designed so like you do not go to classes. You signed one class, and like there are like 8 periods in a day,
Hmm.
and like the teacher comes to your class. So let's say I
Even at
was
university?
even at university level,
Okay.
yes. So
Yeah, because that's
you
very different from the U.S. for
yeah,
university.
yeah, so you're assigned. So I believe you have like a teacher has a room, and then you like kids go room to room, right?
Hmm. At
So
least
for
for high school and for college. Most
yeah,
of the time, when you're in like elementary school, at least, like you do exactly what you're describing,
okay, so
where
for
you have
us
like one room.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, so for us it's up to college, because yeah, so like let's say I was in 12th C, right? So like I have this room, I'll sit in this room throughout the day, and then like first is English, then the English teacher would show up, and the second is maths, then the maths teacher would show up, like stuff like that.
Hmm. It's weird because you couldn't do that in U.S. college because like you have your core classes you have to take in college, but then you have your major, and then you have electives. So like you wouldn't have like the same group of people that have the same electives and stuff as you.
Yeah, so like that's how uh we do it in India as well. So like there'll be, let's say you're studying engineering, right?
Hmm.
So, and there like be some subjects in engineering that everybody has the same they're common for everyone, right? So
Hmm.
those be timed accordingly, so that everybody can sit together, and then there will be some that are optional, right? So all the optional would be timed together, so everybody could spread out at the same time, and then
That makes
yeah.
sense. Honestly, no, that makes sense. And one of the things with the U.S. College system is it's kind of up to you to know. I need this isn't going to be available a year from now. I need to take it now and stuff, which can
Oh
get
yeah.
convoluted because they purposely set you up to try to make you take more than 4 years because they get more money.
Oh yeah. So in India it's frowned upon if you
No,
spend.
that's we,
Yeah.
we refer to that as the victory lap because so many people like stay in college more than 4 years. But then you've
Yeah.
got like one of the main characters that they're making fun of the fact that he's like it's
Failed.
like his seventh year in college, which that's funny. Getting into that entire character had to have been a ripoff of Van Wilder. Like, have you
So
seen with Ryan Reynolds the
yeah.
national?
So here's the
Yeah.
thing. In 2004, that's what Americans look like to us.
So like National Lampoon's Van Wilder came out 2 years prior, and it's funny because he had in Van Wilder an Indian sidekick,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
one of the like kind of nerdier kids who was hanging around Lucky was
Yeah.
dressed just like him. And I'm trying to remember the
Percy
name of the actor. It's I don't even
is
know if the
is
actor's Indian, but it's the one from Harold and Kumar.
yeah. He was in Doctor House MD. He was also in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, Cal Penn. That's it.
Yeah.
That gets me to like the plot, which I will go very, very quickly flip through because honestly, watch this movie. It's on Netflix in America
Yeah.
for free. Go
Yeah.
watch it. but really getting like the plot very quickly, and you can correct me on anything I miss. It
Yeah, yeah,
starts off typical action movie. This guy and his group of terrorists, very like diehard, why are trying to kill this general because he's trying to do like a hostage trade, or not
yeah,
hostage.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like
Hostage trade. Yeah, yeah.
between Pakistan and India to show like a
Yes.
sign of friendship and peace. This
Yeah.
guy breaks in trying to kill him. It goes all Matrix with the main character running around like shooting everybody. But then this the general doesn't get killed, but this other like higher up in the military gets killed trying to save the general, and it turns out that that's the dad of the main character. The main bad guy gets away. Dad of the main character on his deathbed says, "I have you have a brother, and I want to be you to bury my ashes with like you and your brother to do it
Yeah.
together."
Yeah.
He
Yeah. Yeah.
the general brings him in and says, "Hey, I know that you need to do this for your dad. I know about that family, but also they're trying to like assassinate my daughter, who is I've disowned, and she goes to college, so she can't know that you're
Yeah.
guarding her. But he happens to be going to the same college as your brother.
Yeah.
Breaks
What a
into high
coincidence.
school, yeah, breaks into basically High School Musical." Where the daughter is like best friends with his brother, just happens to
Yeah.
be
Has a
like
crush
pretty
on the
much,
brother. Has
yeah,
a
it's
crush
pretty
on the
much
brother.
like hinted. There's the love story there.
Yeah.
Even though this guy's older, he starts going to college. They start undercover, and they call him uncle. You have
Yeah.
the bumbling idiot principal or
I
dean
love
that
that.
like
And he's like my favorite character in the show, in the movie. Like,
in the movie. Yeah,
yeah.
I like him. He can't get ranks right. He keeps calling him like, and he's like, "You can't salute me in front of other people. I'm undercover." And he's like, "Okay, yes, sir." Just bumbling idiot. But yeah, it's just him desperate. The main character desperately trying to become friends with
The
the
daughter
daughter.
of the
Yeah.
general, yeah.
While trying to figure out who the hell his brother is, thinking, "Oh, I'd be able to," but hating Lucky, who is actually his brother, being like, "This
Yeah.
guy is just such a douchebag."
Yeah. So another
Figures out, yeah.
backstory.
Hmm.
So the main character is called Ram, and his brother, who's Lucky, is his real name is Lakshman. So Ram and Lakshman are brothers, like according to Hindu religion. They're like two gods. Ram is a god, and Lakshman is his younger brother.
Ah,
So yeah, so that's why he kept calling him Lakshman, and it was important to everybody to know his name is Lakshman. And as soon as like you say Ram and Lakshman, everybody in India knows that they're brothers.
see, that's something I didn't know with the background, but that makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
he went by Lucky, which made it harder to find him.
yeah, and so like back in the day, like so Lucky represented Western culture, and back then, like Western culture was a bad influence. Like Western culture meant bad influence to
He
in
was
our
a bit of a
movies.
douche. His character, Lucky. I was like, this guy's kind of a douchebag.
Yeah, no, no, no. Him having long hair, like wearing tone up clothes, that's
Mhm.
what American culture was to us. Was for
And they
us,
were all eating
all,
Pizza Hut constantly.
yeah, for us that was like Americans. They all eat Pizza Hut, and they have torn clothes. They do not respect anybody, and
I felt like there had to be like a product placement deal with Pizza Hut
oh,
because I feel like
100%. Yeah,
stuffed
yeah,
crust was probably becoming a big thing like around that time with like it was late 90s for
yeah.
America, but
Oh,
all of them were not
Pizza
only
Hut
eating
and
Pizza
Pepsi.
Hut. You kept seeing the logo for Pizza Hut, and they were eating. There were stuffed crust ads, and they were all eating the crust first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they would like sometime blatantly like a guy's watching TV, and then they would show the ad there. He's watching. I was like, what?
No, there's definitely some product placement. I'm like, good on you putting it in there. Make that
Yeah,
money.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
like he figures out that Lucky is his brother, and at the same time saves Lucky's life, and like a cool action scene that everyone officially loves him.
Okay, okay, okay. This action scene, I haven't been able to forgive since the day I watched it. Like, I hate this action scene because so Lucky falls from the roof, and his brother swings by a rope, and like he's holding the rope with one hand, he's holding the brother with the other hand, right? They're not safe yet, and everybody starts cheering, and then they get off camera. I was like, what? How like, and everybody I talked to was like, how did that see, like how did he rescue him? And like half of the people are like, you cannot look for logic in Bollywood movie. They had a flying rickshaw in the movie. It's like, and I was like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I've accepted that.
But
Like,
but it's the action scene that like that's what threw you off.
yeah,
I get
like
that. I get that.
physics doesn't exist. I get it. Gravity is an American thing, does not exist in India. And I get it. But him hanging with the rope with his brother, holding his brother as one hand, like that's how uh, action scenes start in America, and that's how like the girlfriend of the main characters died because he couldn't hold her while holding the rope, and he had to let go. And it's like, yep, that's it, saved.
Yeah, and there it's like we're good, we're safe, good job. But yeah, they all think that Ram, that's his name, right?
Yes,
They
yes,
all
yes.
think he's a tremendous badass after that. He starts singing song. He doesn't tell him he's his brother, but he starts singing songs about how he loves him and stuff, which that would not be acceptable in American culture. They'd be like, "Yo, I know he's your brother, but calm down, man."
Yeah.
But
So the song is basically "I'll be there." So it's basically I'll be there for you. If you fall, I'll be there to pick you up. If you are in trouble, I'll be there to beat the bad guys. It's kind of like that. So and so being family, being united is a huge thing in India. So like kids do not leave their parents when they grow
yeah, I
up or get
assumed it
married.
was like more of a cultural thing. Honestly,
Yeah.
Americans are a little too. They're
Yeah.
not big on guys expressing themselves emotionally, and
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
no, not in
this
India
is
as well. It's
fine.
just that it's a family thing. So
Mhm.
if it's so like yeah, men do not cry, men do not express their feelings. That's in India as
That's
well.
it. Okay.
Yeah, but it's a family thing that because I want to be united as a family. Like that that's the cheesy.
The cheesy. It was honestly like good though. Like, but it did get pretty cheesy with some of the songs. I enjoy it because I like musicals.
Yeah.
Um, but
What was
yeah,
your favorite song? Like which one? I like
um,
the one when he first meets the teacher. The
oh, when he starts singing to her.
Thank God. Come on, guys.
चांद मेरा दिल चांदनी हो तुम
No, I honestly, yeah, that one was hilarious. Like, it was
yeah,
awesome, but like, no, I don't think I have any specific favorites. They were all
yeah,
very like over the top and cheesy, but I
yeah,
enjoyed
yeah.
them.
This one and the second one, like my favorite was the one where Lucky's girlfriend becomes like becomes hot, Prince becomes pretty, and then the song after that.
Yeah, they do the standard like makeover thing. That he then falls in love with her with that. Yeah, and like again, the plot's so much to get into, and I don't want to take too long because
Yeah.
we've been going for a while and we're supposed to play video games soon. But yeah, like with that, like eventually with all of that, it goes from them being friends and everything. Then like the love story comes around. It's a new teacher who's like really young to be a teacher, and he's a little old to be a student. He keeps professing his love to her and singing all nervously.
Yeah.
The wind blowing in her hair every time is hilarious.
So
The teacher's like former Miss Universe, and like every
yeah.
time he sees her, the wind's blowing through her hair.
So I think so I thought about it a lot, and being a film student, like I was wondering if I told this to my teacher and what he would say. He's like, this is from her perspective, from his perspective.
Mhm.
So he sees her like that. So when he sees her wind blowing because when he sees her, he admits that like he sees people with violence showing up. He's like, whenever I see her, I start listening. I start hearing love tunes, and I cannot control myself singing. So it is from his perspective that he sees her with like wind blowing her hair always, and making her look really pretty.
It's also funny because she's like practically tormenting him, being like, "You're you're dirty. You're stop it, you weirdo."
I
And
mean,
then like
he
whenever,
is being a
yeah,
weirdo.
oh yeah, but then whenever he's like he doesn't see her, she's almost like giggling because she's like
Yeah.
kind of into it. But he's a
Yeah.
student, so even though he's older than her, it's not okay.
Do you know the scene right after she finds out that she's actually a soldier and he's undercover, and then
Oh
she
yeah,
like, yeah, and like
completely down after that.
she brings a tray, you bring tea in with like she has like this antiseptic alcohol thing, uh and like cotton balls in like in like a bowl, all prepared. Like it's like that pulled me out. Like what?
She's got to treat the wounds. She's not freaked out that she just saw a guy die. She's just like completely like, oh, so you're not a student now.
Ooh.
Like just completely down after that.
Yeah, and like that's another thing I liked about this movie. It didn't like it was a typical family movie. Like you could go with your parents, the kids, and the grandparents to go and enjoy it because it didn't have like sexual scenes.
Oh, none
It
of
didn't.
that. Yeah,
It none of and back
they
then
were kissing. That was it.
they don't like if you like remember it correctly. There's no kissing scene. There's like
You're right. They're just like hugging, and they kind of imply that they're going to be kissing. But
yeah.
your brain fills in. I feel like
Yeah. Because you've grown up watching with yeah they'll kiss like since ever since since the
you
1950s they've been
assume when it
kissing.
fades out. Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's
in
kind of like when
Bollywood
horror
movies,
movies don't show it on screen. You fill it in
exactly.
your brain.
Yeah. So back in the day, like having actors touch lips was like the biggest thing, and everybody in the school was talking. Did you know that? They had a lip kiss, like the actual lips were touching, like, and this was like till late, like kissing on the lips, having sex scenes in the movies is really new concept in India.
Yeah, whereas like America, like you can have deplorable violence, just about anything sexual you want, and you
And
don't
it
get
could
the
be a kids
rating up
movie.
unless you say, as long as you don't say the F word, you're good.
Yeah.
Like I feel like in our rating system, saying fuck is worse than showing like full on penis
Yeah.
in
And I
terms of
believe like
rating.
in the Europe there's like no such thing as R rating. They're like yeah, they have posters of naked ladies of movies posters. When I was in I think Paris or Italy.
No, like I was in Germany and I'm like watching fucking Cartoon Network in German, and then just all of a sudden like a porn ad comes on the screen like as one of the commercials. It's like full on like you want to talk to singles in your area, but they're like showing it. It's like okay, this is Germany just don't care, and this is on like a
No.
cartoon like
Yeah.
channel.
Yeah.
Kind of the opposite in Japan.
Yeah. I was watching the Family Guy the other day, and like my wife doesn't haven't seen Family Guy or doesn't know what Family Guy is, right?
Mhm.
And she grew up like watching cartoons are for kids, and for grown-ups it's live action. There's no such thing as cartoons for grown-ups. And then they like start kissing, and then there's like violence and there's like nudity, and she's like, what? I think it's like the dog is having oh yeah, so the dog is having sex, like
Anyone who
uh
doesn't know Family Guy would be so confused by this.
yeah, so the
Brian,
dog
yeah,
the Brian has a crush on this female dog, and she's talking to him while another dog is screwing her.
I know
She's
exactly
like,
which episode you're talking about.
yeah, and she's like, that it's a kids cartoon. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like it's yeah, Americans, they grow up with this. Like they grow up with this. I'm like, yeah, it's normal there. It's like, what?
It's funny when my wife and I visited Japan because they can be really conservative about a lot of things, like
Yeah.
sexual stuff.
Hmm.
But we're watching in daytime very clearly a kids cartoon. It was a kids anime, not a like you know what I mean. And the whole
Yeah.
episode they were fighting this evil spirit that possessed these kids and made them go out to the woods and hang themselves. And it's like
Yeah.
the the
Yeah,
hell,
yeah.
Japan?
Yeah. So
Like, 'cause it's weird cultural stuff, like what we
yeah,
like censor is
yeah,
very
exactly.
weird country to
Yeah,
country.
like nudity, no. People hanging themselves, yeah, yeah.
If you ever watch South Park the movie, it describes a lot with American culture. Like they mention deplorable. There's a line in it: "Deplorable violence is okay as long as we don't say any naughty words."
Yeah, that is true. That
Yeah,
is so true. Yeah.
'cause
So we
in the
will.
U.S., violence is completely fine with kids.
Oh yeah,
Like, even
100%.
as early back
Yeah,
as like Bugs Bunny and stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, like you can buy guns from a vending machine, so why would you not
you were
promote
so
violence?
surprised when I said you could get a hunting rifle from Walmart here.
I told that to my wife, and she was surprised. Like she had the same reaction, and and the end of the, and I just kept on saying, it's America," and it's like, yeah, makes sense.
No, no, it's a little accurate, yeah. Especially, Midwest and the South and stuff, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, because she was like, so like, same jobs would pay better in the US because there are like more options, more competition, more companies, and less of IT people, right? So she was like, yeah, she's like, we can, I want to find a job in Texas because the house prices are low and it's cheaper to live there
Oh,
in Texas.
they're very well priced in
I
Texas.
was like, yeah, but they're like also a lower amount of people that look like us. And it's like the gun capital of their country. It's like, yeah, so we'll have to.
No, Texas, yeah. But Texas is also like the best food in the country, just about.
Yeah. So where were we on the plot?
Okay, so on the plot, there it got me back in focus. On the plot, we were to essentially they get to where it's prom, which is a very high school thing in America.
And prom does not is not a thing in India.
Yeah, I assumed it was, and it's weird. The band. Can I just say that is like bad Indian Weezer? I kept referring to them as bad Indian. I don't know if you know the band Weezer.
No, so the it was India's take on the band from Back to the Future.
Yeah, which Weezer kind of imitates them a bit too. Like, but no,
Okay.
it definitely felt like the Back to the yeah.
So a quick backstory to this. So the guy who did all the music, Anu Malik, he is notoriously famous of not creating anything original. He's like the famous of stealing songs from the entire world, and he's been doing this since before internet existed. Like one of our famous uh, patriotic songs is actually a translation of the Israel's national anthem.
Oh, really? Yeah. Sorry, I was actually just messaging, which we'll keep this in because I don't care. I was just messaging everyone to say we're still recording. So,
Yeah,
just we're doing some gaming after this recording, so that's why I
yeah,
was doing that.
yeah.
But yeah, getting back into the
So like,
plot. Oh,
so
sorry, go
it's
ahead.
so that's the reason that you find a lot of, because 2004, even in the school computer it takes him like 15 minutes to load a picture. So internet wasn't like a really popular thing, so they were like full on just like I'm sure like the rough cut of the movie was like a compilation of Hollywood movie scenes, and just like, yep, this is, so they just
Let's
like
pull
instead of
this.
this, yeah, instead of a script, they just send them a compilation of Hollywood movies, like, yep, we are gonna make this but in Bollywood.
It did feel like that, definitely in some way. I described it as Matrix meets Die Hard meets High School Musical, and then you said like all Indian movies have a little bit of High School Musical.
Yeah, like, or you could say High School Musical
It
is
has yeah
a Bollywood movie.
A Bollywood movie, and that's
It's like,
fair.
and it's like a High School Musical is a typical Bollywood movie. There's like a
Uh,
hot villain. There's a villain who's really pretty, and she's the villain, and she wants this guy. The guy is into sports, and the guy likes the nerdy girl, and then there's a lot of music and dance.
it felt like that, definitely. But like getting into again the rest of the plot, they go to prom as I mentioned. In prom, that's when like the or that's when the villains decide to strike.
Yeah,
I did forget to mention the main bad guy has like taken over as a professor.
yeah. So,
Um,
the biggest plot hole in the movie, right? So he is there to protect the girl from a bad guy, and he doesn't know what the bad guy looks like. The bad guy is a former Indian Army soldier
why didn't they tell him?
that was court-martialed. That was like fired from
Yeah, he was a
the.
major. He was the
Yeah, I think
same
like
rank.
yeah. So American would be dishonorably discharged, right? So he
Yeah,
was discharged from the
for
service.
for murdering like 11 Pakistani
He,
civilians in cold blood,
and
just like
one of them was a
lining them
kid.
up like full on like Nazi execution
Yeah,
style. It was like I was like, damn, when I saw that one. Like, you're just court martialing him for this? Like, throw that guy in prison.
yeah, and he does that, and and the guy who has to protect the guy who killed his father, he doesn't know what he looks like. It was like, what? Didn't they have like a
Yeah.
picture on file? It's like 2004. It's like not 1928 where cameras didn't
Yeah.
exist.
You guys could have told them, yeah. And also, like, I forgot to mention earlier in this, one of his henchmen made an attempt on just one of their
Oh,
friends, like the nerdy kid, and he got stopped, but they didn't kill him. They, like, captured him and, like, they legit tortured him for information, like, so nonchalantly. Like, you get to talk, you know. So they've
yeah.
got him, like, captured the
They
entire
don't-
time.
I don't think that they beat him up a lot. There's like,
Not a lot, but, you know, they
yeah,
roughed
yeah,
him up definitely
yeah,
for
yeah. I mean, it
info.
won't fly in the Geneva Convention, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit. Well, you know, they didn't waterboard him, so
and like the scene he's talking about, it's the fun. It's like my favorite scene in the movie because like that scene becomes complete Matrix. He runs fast, like the guy fires a bullet. He hears the bullet. He sees the bullet coming on. He runs. He takes a book, right, and he stops that bullet with a book. He's like, "Whoa, what happened?"
wouldn't
The other
happen.
guy's like, "Yeah, right." And then he runs after him. So they are in a car, and he is on a rickshaw, like a cycle rickshaw that you drive like a cycle. It's like a three-tire cycle, right? And he chases them, and then like he and then they fire him, and so this rickshaw is like as thin as a cycle, right? And they only hit like the thin rods on the cycle. Like he's not even dodging. They're like firing at him, and it's just hitting that rod on the cycle. That's it. Pew pew pew.
Yep,
And then he
it is.
shoots
It's a good scene though.
and then he shoots at the car and the door falls off. And this is not a comedy scene. This is like completely serious scene.
It was like '80s American action movie. Like it was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
It
And
actually
then
felt like an '80s American action movie.
yeah, and it's like and then they like they have a physics switch. They like turn it off and like everything's flying, everything's sliding.
Yeah. No, but that scene, yeah, that was very like actiony. But like they get done, like so basically the main bad guy has got everything set up for like during the prom. He's got this whole distraction. Basically, the teacher's gonna go home, and he's like, "Hey, you can like, why don't you be a gentleman and drive her home?" And so he
Yeah.
does. In which case, there's an attempt on their life. Like one of his henchmen gets in the back of the car, and that's when the teacher figures out all the shit's gone down. Like he, you know, the guy basically has to kill the ones trying to kill both of them. But then, you know, he uses this opportunity, the bad guy, because he's like, I'm gonna drive, you know, these two home. The his brother, you know, Lucky, and the lead girl. I
Yeah.
don't even remember
The
her
general's
name.
daughter.
Yes, General's daughter.
Yeah.
So, and then the weird thing is, after he kidnaps them, he like
Sanjana.
you know,
Sanjana, that's the name
or
of the
that
girl.
that's it. Yeah, he like kidnaps them, and then I keep getting lost, and then basically is going to like you know kill her or some shit.
No.
But
So
he stops it.
so he wasn't he did so what he does is he drops the boy home because he
You're
wants
right.
to kidnap the girl.
Yeah,
And the
yeah. I'm like
boy and
mixing
the
it up
girl
with the end.
yeah, the boy and the girl have a moment, and then he So our main hero saves the teacher, runs back to to the boy's place, and then gets in the car and he's like, tells the bad guy and the journalist's daughter, "Hey, I'm here to protect you. I'm the soldier." And then the daughter unites with her
That's what it
father.
is.
Yeah,
But he doesn't get, yeah, he doesn't get caught, the main bad guy, because of it.
yeah,
But they reveal who he is because of this. Like, hey, he's safe now. She's safe now, even though the
yeah.
main bad guy's not been caught.
You know, there's another die hard vibe to this. The villain's lair, it's in a house, right? Like it's not underground, it's not like a under the gutter scene. And but it's like inside the house it's completely flooded. So all the computers, all the lights are but like the floor is water. It's
It was
like
kind
what?
of weird.
It's like, yeah, it's a bad guy's
Your
lair.
guys'
What's the
tech wouldn't
bad?
work with that. That's horrible with all that technology.
And I
Because
mean,
they had good surveillance tech.
and and you know that's not bad for your shoes and socks. Like you always have wet socks.
That's why they're mad. That's why they're terrorists. They always have wet feet. I'd be pissed off all the time too if my socks were always wet. We've created world peace now. We've figured out everyone who's a bad guy is just pissed because their socks are wet.
Yeah, yeah,
No, that was definitely silly. But yeah, I was kind of mixing a few things up. But essentially, the main bad guy, because of this, because the principal's an idiot,
yeah, yeah.
figures out that you
Yeah,
know he
this is
that the
so.
brother,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The reason you got it mixed is because now it's filler. Because now they had to hit the 3 hour mark. Because this is where they could have ended and had the main climax thing, right? And like,
easily.
yeah, easily. And hey, I want to see another thing. So like that's a typical Shah Rukh Khan thing where he comes from a train and there's like steam, smoke, and then he comes to the smoke.
Yeah, I
That's
saw that. I was like, that's kind of. I kept making jokes when he hopped back on the train that he was going back to Hogwarts.
yeah, yeah. That's what I said as well. Like when I watched it today, I was like, yeah, that looks like really Harry Potter like.
But yeah, the
Yeah,
main bad guy decides to like the first thing he does, it just goes and tells the Lucky and Lucky's mom, "Hey, this is your dad's, this is your old husband's, bastard kid,
yeah,
basically." And she literally like reacts like a Game of Thrones character of like, "I hate him."
dun, dun,
Like,
dun.
so what are you doing to this family, all that stuff. And then like they're more willing to accept when it's like, "Go tell your dad, basically they say in not so many words, go tell your dad to fuck off." And then he's like,
Yeah,
okay, but he's like got the ashes, and they're like, wait a
yeah.
second.
Oh
Your dad
no.
instantly like forgive him because
Yeah. So another
of
reason
that.
is because in Indian culture, it's like frowned upon to insult the dead. So you never, even like how much you hated the person, you never say bad things when they're dead.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's
that's honestly that's kind of big in American culture too. Like it's very
yeah,
frowned upon. But like after that, like there's another scene going on that they're all in the gym. Basically, the bad guy kidnaps everybody and takes them all hostage.
yeah, yeah,
And the good guy has to infiltrate. He talks the essentially he talks the henchmen they captured
yeah,
into helping because he's like, is this really what you wanted to help India? All this stuff. This isn't
yeah,
helping India.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it goes full Die Hard. He just goes around like killing everybody. Basically, there's a scene where the bad guy's henchman fakes the guy, like shoots him in the bullet, and I'm like, he's wearing a bulletproof vest, obviously.
Yeah. So
Um,
for you, it was obviously right. Back then, it was like, what?
See,
When
like
I first,
American culture, that's been a thing since like old school, like 1960s
yeah,
westerns. It's even
yeah,
recreate. It's a trope even in Back to the Future. If you have you seen
yeah,
Back
yeah.
to the Future 3, he
Love
wears
it.
like
Yeah,
the bulletproof vest.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He
So
he
like it was
wears
obvious
yeah
to me, yeah. That
the
I'm like, he's
metal
wearing a
thing.
bulletproof vest. I'm like, that's a trope. It's like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it
That's what
works
like
though.
because before that in Bollywood movies, actors were bulletproof on their own without the vest. Like you would have like actors, the villain just empty an AK-47 in the guy, and he would still survive, and he would like some few bandages and he was like yeah
You can't
like
do that in America because we know how guns work.
and yeah, in India, it's like you'll empty the bullet in the guy, and he will still go and fight the villain, beat him up, and then save the girl, and then go to the hospital.
I mean, to be fair, that's kind of like Die Hard, the first Die Hard. He just keeps getting flesh wounds, tears up his feet with the glass, all
Yeah,
that, and he's
yeah.
still fine instead of bleeding out. He just needs to smoke a cigarette before he gets back to fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
the ending is
That's how
very
you
Die
heal in
Hard, though.
the the ending is Die Hard's, but if it's it's the if Die Hard happened in Matrix,
Hmm. A lot of bullet
because
time.
a lot of bullet time, and then like, so he punches him, he goes midair. Now the guy comes around, does this, right, and then does this, and then elbows him. Then, like, meanwhile
Yeah, I
he's in the
saw
air.
that, and I'm like, is he a super? He was doing like the like Quicksilver, like like did he gain superhuman speed all of a sudden? The main bad guy.
So another thing about Indian movies is, like, you have to accept that everybody's a superhero. You have to, because, like, that's the thing that, like, got me, like, away from Bollywood was, like, in a Hollywood movie they'll give a superhero backstory. Oh, he is fast because he's the Flash or he's Quicksilver, and then they assume in Bollywood you'll get superpowers just if the plot needs it. Oh,
Yeah,
he's like,
it's
oh,
the Toon Force is what we call it, like cartoons where they have it,
yeah.
where you just have
So
whatever powers needed for the time.
yeah, and my parents are like, so, like, I would get really upset about it, and they would be like, you do not use your brain when you watch a Bollywood movie. And they would, the actors would say it, like, in their marketing material, hey, when you come watch that movie, leave your brain at home.
Yeah, you shut your brain off. I get that.
Yeah,
I've heard that about like we say that about like dumb action movies. It's kind of like watching a Fast and the Furious. You have to
yeah,
shut your brain. It's like shut up, shut your brain off, and watch cars and explosions.
yeah. Like, and if you, like, until unless, like, around Fast and Furious 6 and 7, they would still try to explain some stuff, right? Oh, this car can go this fast because we have this jet engine. Oh, we have huge magnets. That why is pulling the cars up. Now the Fast Furious have, like, stopped explaining, like, oh, this is happening because mumbo jumbo.
I think the best take was the Onion was talking about it, and they're like, "Here we have the writer of the Fast and the Furious movies," and it's like a 5-year-old kid, and they're like, "What's your inspiration?" He's like, "I like when cars go fast." But no, like the final scene's very like well, not the final, but is very actiony. The brother comes back on the helicopter to save his brother, and I knew, like, I see, like, the main bad guy has just randomly around his neck just a bunch of grenades, and I look at like my wife and I'm like, Chekhov's grenades, because I don't know if you know that, like, the theater
Yeah, no,
term,
no, no.
like
Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov's
Yeah,
gun, yeah.
yeah,
And I'm like, Chekhov's grenades. He's gonna pull, and I even go, he's gonna pull the pin of one of them.
yeah.
Like
And
and that's
for
exactly what he did.
for me, the Chekhov moment was, Ram saves his brother. Like, he's like, jump, Mehuna, jump. Like, I am there for you, jump. Mehuna means I am there for you.
Mhm.
So, Mehuna, jump. And then he catches him, like, when he first, like, during the starting scene of the movie, from the hostel. And now the younger brother returns the favor when he catches him from the helicopter. So that was my Chekhov.
Mhm.
Oh, they introduce it, now they're paying it off.
Yeah, no, and so yeah, I didn't even do that parallel that it was like he saved him and then yeah, but no, that
Yeah.
was
Because in the
interesting.
end he says Mehuna, which means I'm there for you, and the soldier guy's like, yeah, that's my worry. Now pull me up.
Yeah,
I'm like, he's been carrying him.
yeah, they're like flying, and he's like, "Hey, come on, pull me up, buddy." No, that was funny, but they kill it, and then we get like the super happy ending of them all graduating, including the younger brother.
Yeah, and only
They're
two people graduate
dumping.
that day. That's it.
Yeah, they're the only ones they care about. Everyone else is in the audience,
Yeah,
and they're dumping their dad's ashes. And then it's
yeah,
like the carnival scene, and that's the happy.
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess Wayne's World would say the ultra happy ending.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So, yeah,
on the rewatch, what would you give it? Like, because I'm gonna say, like, this is my
I,
first time watching. I'd give it easily a 4 out of 5.
like, we do it in Canada. We do it, like, out of 10.
You can do what would you give it out of 10?
8, 8. I would give it
8 out of
8.
10, which is exactly a 4 out of
Yeah.
5. great.
because the Americans have to have their own thing, right? Like rest of the world, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, that do it out of 10 out of 100, right? Like Americans, yeah, we do it out of 5.
I'm just gonna start giving all my ratings out of 7. Just how many would you give it out of 7?
I do
Just
that to my
confuse
friends,
everybody.
right? I do that. I'll first ask them, how would you give this movie out of 5? They're like 4. Then I'll ask them out of 10. They'll like, I'll give it 7, 7.5. Then I'll like give them a random number. What about 343? It's like, and then they'll like still go along. They're like, I would like 300, and then I like give a percentage. Oh, so that's basically 6 out of 10. Like, no, then how about 100,000? It's like, what?
Out of 100,000, just make them do math.
They're like, and I wouldn't give them like a round figure. I was like, what about 67,840? How much of that? They're like, no. Okay, I'm done.
Just stop. All right. Well, all in all, again, I thought it was a good movie. I'm actually looking forward to you suggesting another Bollywood movie.
Yeah.
Thank you
yeah.
again for being on here. I really
100%.
appreciate it.
No,
And,
this was my favorite thing to do. Like, this is my first time professing my favorite, like talking about my favorite movie, like publicly. Like, it's been before friends, right? This
no,
like
and
first
I
time
enjoyed
breaking
having
down.
you on. Yeah, and
No,
enjoyed watching
100%.
it.
Yeah, I'd love to join the Rocky one.
No, we'll definitely. I'll have to go through a few Rocky movies. I'll do a whole series.
Yeah,
Well,
Adrian.
well, thank you all. What?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no. Have me on 5. Have me on 4.
4.
Yeah.
That's the best one. Well, thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe this video. I could use more subscribers. And go look up again Tech Goggles. Tech Goggles Gaming. Is that what you wanted?
Just
Easier. Just
search
Tech Goggles.
just search Tech Goggles. Yeah.
And yeah, follow Ingad. And thank you all so much.